Hi there, my name is Pauline and I'm a storyteller from Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland. I hope you're enjoying this, the Stonehaven Folk Festival Saturday night concert, and I hope you enjoy this wee story that I've got for you. Once upon a time, there was a man. Now, this man thought that he was the unluckiest man in the whole world. If his neighbour just took receipt of a brand new BMW, well, that would be the day that his car broke down. If his friend got a promotion, well, that would be the day that he found that he was having to do extra hours and wasn't getting paid for it. The thing about this man was that he didn't see all the lucky things that did happen to him. He only saw the bad things. One day, he was in the pub and he was greeting and grumbling to his pals as usual when they said to him, "Kenneth, lad, you're nae that unlucky." "Aye, but I am, and I want to know why." Well, they looked at each other and they said, "You can't. You could aye go and see the wise old women of the woods." "What wise old woman fa's this?" "Well, they say that she kens Athen. She'll be able to tell you why you're so unlucky." "Right," he said, "okay. How do I get there? What's our postcode?" And he started putting it into Google Maps, but they said, no. You have to mark it your ain way there on fit, otherwise she winna see you. She's quite traditional like that. So it was that the very next day, Saturday morning, he got his backpack and he headed off west in the direction of the woods. And he walked away from the town and through the suburbs, and in no time at all, he came to a wood. Now, this being Scotland in, the 21st century, he was quite shocked when he heard, "Ow!" the howling of what sounded like a wolf, and he was quite feared, so he climbed up a tree. And right enough, when he looked down in the darkness of the thick pine forest, he could see all these yellow eyes watching him. And so he was up there for 2 hours, 3 hours. Now, did he think that he was lucky to see a creature that had been extinct in Scotland since the 1700s? No, of course, he was the unluckiest man, because he had to waste so many hours stuck up the tree. But eventually the yellow eyes left and he came down the tree, but to his shock, down at the bottom of the tree, waiting for him when he got there, was the scraggiest looking skinny lump of bones of a wolf that he'd ever seen. And he wasn't scared of it because it was so small and mangy. And the wolf said to him, "Oh, I'm the unluckiest wolf that ever did live." "Oh, well, you and me have got something in common," said the man. "Tell me your story." And the wolf did. And it was all about how he was the last born and he was the last to get the food and he was the lowest in the pecking order of the pack and he only just wanted to be the alpha wolf. "Tell you what," says the man, "I'm going to see the wise old woman of the woods, and if anybody knows how to get you to the top of the pack, it's her. There's some mischief here, some magic afoot. I'll find out. I'll let you know when I come back." "Okay," says the wolf, and on goes the man. Well, he walked on through that wood and he was almost coming out into the bright clear sunshine, and he saw this pathetic pine tree. And it was all small and pine needles were brown and hanging off it. All around were all these great big proud Scots pines stretching all the way up to the sky. And he said to the pine tree as he passed, "You're another unlucky chiel." The pine tree, to his great surprise, said, "Aye, I'm the unluckiest pine tree in the hale of the woods. I'm the smallest. I'm so unlucky, and all around me, my brothers and sisters are growing up tall and healthy. I wish I knew why I was so unlucky and what I could do about it." "Well," says the man, I'll tell your story to the wise woman of the woods. I'll go and she's got an answer for everything apparently. I'm away to find out why I'm so unlucky." And after a while he agreed that he would find out for the tree what he could do for it, and on he went. And he walked and he walked. Now it was getting quite late by this point. All the time that he'd spent up that tree, it was getting dark. And he was coming along and he was wondering where he was going to spend the night, when up on this grassy hillside in the middle of nowhere, right in the path in front of him, was this beautiful cottage with a thatched roof and the roses around the door and the back garden with a beautiful situte with ivy round it, and oh, the smell of the honeysuckle and the fresh raspberries and the cabbages growing in the back garden. And he thought, well, this place is just perfect. Whoever lives here must be the luckiest person on earth. And then out she came, and it was this woman, and his heart fair broke at the sight of her. She had bonny freckles on her cheeks and beautiful auburn hair, and she looked up with him in surprise, and she said, my goodness, nobody ever comes by this way. And he said, hi, and she said, hi. And she invited him in for a cup of tea, and he told her his story about how he was the unluckiest man in the whole world, and he was going to go and see the old woman of the woods. And she said, oh, well, you know what? I know it looks like I've got the perfect life, but I don't. I'm unlucky too. You see, I'm so lonely out here. Oh, he said, aye, she said. And then she agreed that, you know, he could sleep on her sofa for the night, but the next morning she had breakfast, and he said, you know what, I've been thinking, I'm going to ask the wise woman of the woods how you can change your fortunes too. And she said, oh, that would be lovely. So you're coming back? And he said, aye. And off he went. Well, it was only a few hours later they entered, and there was this big wood with birch trees and oaks stretching up to the sky. And he was only a couple of 100 meters in when he saw this old shack, and he thought that this must be the shack of the old woman of the woods. And he chopped on the door, and right enough, to the door came this woman, and she peered at him with her wee dark eyes and her wee grey black ringlets round her face, and she said, aye, you'll be the unlucky man that I've been hearing about. Oh, he said, aye, and she took him in, and she said, tell me your tale. So he started right from the start about how he was so unlucky, and she nodded, and he told her about his friends had said, go and see the wise woman. And she nodded. And he told her about the wolf, and she said, oh, aye, the wolf. And she nodded, and she listened. And he told her about the pine tree, and she nodded, oh, aye, aye. And he told her about the bonny wifey that lived all alone in the cottage, who was awful lonely, and she smiled and said, aye. And he said, well, what I'm looking for is to find out why I'm so unlucky, and what can I do about it? And she said, you will only find out the reason for your unhappiness at the end of your journey. Right, he said, okay, brilliant. And he was about to get up and leave, and she said, hang on, I thought you agreed to find out how to help the other people. And he went, aye, okay, tell me. He was in such a rush to get home and get to the end of his journey to find out why he was so unlucky. The woman that lives in the cottage, said the wise old woman of the woods, all she needs to do is to have the courage to ask someone to stay. Aye, okay, said the man. Right, okay, what about the pine tree? Well, she whispered in his ear and told him what to tell the pine tree. Aye, okay, he said. I need to go now. What about the wolf, she said. She gave him advice for the wolf too. And the man left. And it was probably mid-afternoon when he reached the cottage of the beautiful woman, and she came out and said, you came back? And he said, I came back. And she said, well, did you find out why you're so unlucky? Well, no, but when I get to the end of my life's journey, I'll find out. She said, oh, and did the lady have any advice for me? Well, the lady said, you just have to have the courage to do something about it. And she said, in that case, I'm going to do that right now. Will you stay with me for the rest of my life? Because I feel a connection with you, and I know you do with me. And he went, I've got to go. And he left. He didn't stay with her. He left. That man that was so unlucky left the woman of his dreams, and off he went, because he was so eager to get to the end of his journey. And he walked, and finally he came to that wee pine tree, and the pine tree said, well, did you find out? And he told her, aye, he told her all about the woman. And the pine tree thought, well, he's a bit of an idiot, but did you find out about me? Oh yes, he said, the thing is, there's a great big pile of gold at your roots, and all you need is for someone to dig it up, take it away, and then your roots will be able to get down to the water and the nutrients that you need, and you'll grow. Great, said the pine tree. There's a spade over there that somebody left. How about you dig up the gold and you take the gold? And the man said, I've got to go. And he left without taking the gold. The unlucky man left, and he walked, and soon enough he came to where that wolf was, and the wolf was waiting for him, and the wolf said, well, tell me your story. And the man told him about the wee old woman in the woods, and he told him about the lady that could have been the love of his life, and then he told him about the pine tree and the gold, and how he'd left them too because he had to get to the end of his journey to find out why he was so unlucky. Right, said the wolf. Well, said the wolf, okay, so you're on your way. Aye, aye. Have you any advice for me? Aye. She said, the way that you can change your fortunes is to eat the next stupid thing that you meet. So the wolf ate the man, the unlucky man. And that's the end of the story. But the wolf lived happily ever after. Enjoy the rest of the concert. Cheerio.